Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to achieve basic movement in Godot. More specifically, how to make your character move left, right and jump. I'm not going to show you how to design it for the simple reason that I'm not a designer. Even this basic and quirky character took me quite a lot of time to prepare. So I'll be mostly focusing on the mechanics and how to put it all together. Let's not waste time and get started. So first thing we're going to do is to set up a game scene. Let's do it very quickly. Let's set up a regular node. Make sure to rename it to game. And finally, save it. I'm going to save it under the scene folder, and we're done with our game scene. Okay, next I want to set up the background, so I'm going to use the texture rect type of node. And I'm going to simply drag the image I've prepared in advance to the texture field. So this is how it's done, and I'm going to change the expand mode because you can see it doesn't fit really well. I will do ignore size, and I want the original aspect of the image as I prepared it because it fits perfectly the camera. So I'm going to drag it this way, and that's it. We only have to play and see that it actually fits, and we'll choose the current scene. So this way we'll always run the game scene, and in a moment, yes, you should see the background looks great. Now we can create our character. For the character, I'm going to create a completely new scene, and I'm going to add a character body 2D because our character is going to move. And then we are missing two things. First one is a collision shape 2D. This will be used for colliding with the platform. And the second thing is the animated sprite 2D, and that will be used for the different animations, so for jumping and moving. And the last thing we're going to do is to rename it to player. The next thing we're going to do is to add animations to our character. And in order to do that, let's go to Animated Sprite 2D, and here you'll notice the warning says that we need to create a sprite frames. So let's go ahead and do that. Click on empty to create a new sprite frame, and click again to access the sprite frame, and you'll see the only animation we have is called default and it's empty. So let's rename it to idle, and remember our character can either walk, jump or be idle. So we'll add 3 different animations, and then for each animation we'll attach the right sprites. The way you attach sprites, you basically go ahead and click on the icon here, and we are going to start with idle. You can see there is only one sprite, so what we want to set is horizontal will be 1 and vertical will also be 1. Perfect. Let's click on it to add the frame, and jump is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a couple of sprites, so let's choose the sprite sheet. And let's count how many we have exactly here. We have 5 sprites, so we're going to set horizontal to 5 and vertical will still be 1. And you can see it really fits, so we're going to select all the frames. Great, and you can even play and see that it actually works. Okay, looks good, our character jumps. And now let's do also walking. So let's choose another sprite sheet. And this time we have a different number of sprites. So we want to add 8 horizontal, and vertical as always will be 1. And that's it. This is how we attach animation for each one of the character states. And you can also click again on play to see that it actually works fine. And next we're going to add the collision for our character. Okay, so first of all, let's move our collision shape to be under the animated sprite 2D. And the reason is because we want to see our collision shape. And I'm going to use a rectangle. You can use any custom shape that you prefer. In this case, I am good with the rectangle to cover my character. Now let's make sure to save our scene, and let's call it the player scene. And before we allow our character to actually move, let's go ahead and create a platform on which our character can move. Okay, so for our platform, we want to add a static body 2D, and the reason is because it's not moving. And under the static body 2D, we'll see that we need a collision shape and we'll also need a sprite. So let's start with the sprite, and next we'll do also the collision. Great. Now let's start by putting the texture of our sprite. So this is how the platform looks like. Let's drag it to the center, and let's add a collision shape, which in this case is also going to be a rectangle. And let's drag it this way. And note that I'm not going to do it from the top because I want my character to walk in the middle of it. You'll see that it makes sense. And that's it, basically. This is how we created the platform. Let's make sure to rename it to platform, and also save the platform scene. Now before we actually go ahead and add a movement to our character, let's go ahead and assemble the game scene. So first of all, let's add a platform. Let's actually add the two of them. And let's also add our player. Perfect. Now let's arrange them in the scene. So let's move the first platform here, the second one here, and let's also make sure to put our player on the platform. Okay, now let's click on play. Let's see how it looks like. Okay, it looks good. We have the background, the platforms, the player. I'm just missing now the movement. So let's go ahead and add the movement to the player. Okay, so go back to the player scene and let's add the new script. And I'll put it in the scripts folder. Now you might notice that you have a template here ready for the basic movement of the character. So this is built in Godot. The only thing you need to do is to make sure that it's checked. Once it's checked, go ahead and click on create. And you'll notice that you have the script written for you. So you can find here all the logic for the movement. The velocity of the character when it's moving in the different direction, the input buttons, and you have also the gravity and the jump. So everything is set up for you in order for the character to start moving without you writing any code. Let's see how it looks like. So yes, the character is definitely moving, the script works. You can see that we can jump, we can move left, right, but the character is sliding, right? It's not using the actual animations that we've prepared earlier. So let's go ahead and fix that. And the first thing we want to do is to create a reference to our animated sprite 2D. And the reason we want to do it is it will allow us to fully control our animation. So when to switch between the different states, when to play it, and when to stop it. So this is how you add a reference to it. So you can see from now on we'll use it as animated sprite and it references this node here. Next we can go ahead and start using it. So the first place where I want to add it is the jump. And I'm going to use the variable we just created and play the jump animation. And this way, every time the character jumps, we'll play the jump animation. And what we'll do next is that if we don't jump, we want to check if we are already in a jump animation and also on the floor, then we know that we need to switch to idle because you don't want to play the jump animation while your character is on the floor, right? And this is how you basically write the conditional, checking if the animation is jump and is on the floor, and if yes, we'll just play the idle animation. And let's give it a test. Okay, we're able to jump. This is awesome. We're still sliding, so let's go ahead and also add walking. Okay, so what we'll do now is we'll add a conditional to check if we're moving left or right. And if we're moving left or right and we're also on the floor, then we'll play our jump animation. So this is how we check if we are moving left or right. And as I said, we want to also check that we're on the floor because we don't want to play the walking animation where we're not on the floor. Finally, let's play the animation itself and let's give it a test. Great, our character is actually moving. You may notice there is something weird here where it's moving while also standing and jumping, so let's go ahead and fix that. And what we need to do is very simple. So we need to make sure that if we're not on the floor, that means we are in the air. And if we're in the air, we want to play the jump animation. The final thing to do here is to add at the very end another conditional in case we are not pressing the right or left buttons and we're also not playing the walking animation. Then in this case, we want to play the idle animation. So that means that we're not walking and there is no input to actually make the character work, so it needs to be idle. So let's give it a test. Okay, perfect. You can see the character can jump, can walk. Each animation plays at the very exact moment it should play. Now I want to mention a way where you could skip all these conditions and not use them. You could go to the signals and add a signal for when the animation is finished. And whenever the animation is finished, you can simply set it back to idle. So whether you're jumping, working, doesn't matter what is the animation, at the very end of each animation, go back to the idle animation. That would work as well. So the only thing left for us to do is to make sure that we flip our character, and let me show you what do I mean. So you'll notice that doesn't matter which direction I go, the character looks at the same direction, right? So let's go ahead and fix that. And the fix is really simple. All we need to do is to check if we are on the right direction or on the left direction, and based on the direction we'll flip the texture. So for the right direction we won't flip it, and when we go to the left direction then we will flip the texture. And that's it. That's the only thing we need to do. We don't need to set another sprite that was designed specifically for the left side. All we need to do is just flipping the texture. And let's see how it works. But first I want to show you how would you check what a function does if you didn't know. So you can see the flip edge. If true, the texture is flipped. Let's go back. I have an issue here. Okay, I'm missing an equal sign. And let's give it a test and see how it works. Okay, perfect. Every time I go left, the texture is flipped, and every time I go right, it simply uses the original texture. So this works really well. And we're basically done. I hope you enjoyed this video. And before you go, I want to show you one last thing. This is in case you'll make a game in the future where you need your character to go towards the ceiling. So in order to achieve that, it's very simple. All you need to do is to flip it vertically. So let's see how it looks like. This is the only line we'll keep. Yeah, so this is how you go on invincible ceiling and also fall between the platforms. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching it, and I'll see you on the next one.